everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today together we're going to paint this cute, fat, fluffy, colorful bird. Oh my goodness, this is an acrylic paint on canvas. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to break down every technique, every step, every tool, everything you need to know on how to get this effect. And I'm going to introduce you to my favorite feather brush during this. So if you're like, man, I need a better feather brush, you definitely want to watch this video. Now on the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He helps me bring these fabulous lessons to you by making sure that one of our robotic cameras is actually pointing at what I'm teaching and talking about. He makes sure that you can see the palette the entire time so you can see every color mix, really every part of this. Now, if you check the description down below, you're going to see some extra cool information, including a link to a traceable. So I'm going to show how to draw this bird. I'm going to freehand him out and paint during this lesson. That said, I don't expect you to draw at this stage, and you don't have to be able to draw to be able to paint. So the traceable is there, and you can download that and print that out if you want to skip the drawing part of this. This particular lesson is part of a 31-day painting challenge called Acrylic August, where every single day from August 1st to August 31st, I get together with my community and give them a new painting lesson. I do this because nothing makes you better at painting than actually painting. And this is a really fun challenge. So maybe you came because you just saw this cute bird in your suggested feed and you're just like, I would like to paint that. And that's completely cool. This is a closed, complete lesson and you could just do this one. But I would like to encourage you to check out the other 30 paintings because they're actually really cute and you might enjoy doing some more even if you're not doing the painting challenge. If you're doing the painting challenge, oh my goodness, congratulations. We are in the final stretch. Can you believe we've made it this far? You guys are doing so good. There's really nothing to do but for you to get your paint, your brushes, all of which are listed in the description down below. And come back and meet this canvas right now. We're going to paint this together. So for today's class, I'm going to use an 8x8 canvas. This particular is the Art Alternatives brand in the classic cotton. I have burnt sienna, phthalo green, cad yellow medium, cad red medium, quinacridone magenta, phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, Mars black, and titanium white. So let's throw up step one and start having some fun. All right, I'm going to take a 3/4 inch, I don't know why I keep saying 3/4 inch angle brush, and I'm going to mix together a little of my ultramarine blue and my Mars black. Make a nice little mixture of this up. Wipe it out, and then I'm going to bring over a little white, and that's going to give me kind of a blue-gray. And I'm going to paint my entire canvas this blue-gray. It's a really pretty color. Very slate. Now this is my first layer, so it doesn't have to be that tidy. I'm just getting an acrylic ground going here, and acrylic ground is just a solid color.
Just a foundation you can build on. Yeah,
I'm misting with just plain water. I'm just wanting to spread the color out further because I have to do a two layer kind of background, but I just want to get this sort of brushed out and covering the canvas. I really work it in. And you can go back multi-directionally across the canvas, and then I'm also going to make sure that it goes around these little edges so that when framed, no white is showing. Or you can paint the sides completely, and then you don't have to frame it all. Now, that looks pretty good, but I'm going to want to dry that and come back to do another coat. So let's dry it, and when we come back, we're going to paint this together. Now, a note on drying. When I'm drying on my video, what you want to do is hit pause when you start to dry, and then hit play when you are done drying. And that will keep us painting together. Okay, so let's dry our canvases, and I'll see you back when your canvas is dry. Let's go. So now I'm going to want to come through and create kind of a softer background. I'm going to use a 1-inch Princeton Select oval mop. I'm going to get it a little bit wet and dry off the extra water with my towel. I'm going to come over and add more white to my blue-gray mixture, making it much lighter. Get a little more blue into it so that it's very distinctly blue-gray. And you can see I'm lightening it up a whole shade. And I'm brushing it very quickly out. Sometimes I'll have to get a little more water onto my brush to get a good brush out. I'm working quickly so that I can blend things before my paint really dries. Now I'm going to take a little more of my blue-gray mixture, make a darker value for this lower corner, kind of in a little rococo out. See how we're doing? So we have a little bit of light there, and then we're going to dusty. Can always come back with some more white into it. A little more water. And just brush it until I get a nice little blend. Now again, this is one of those areas where you can use the golden glazing liquid if you're having trouble getting a good transition. But I just wanted to show you guys that you can do it without. It's just about working a little bit faster. Light pressure. All right, so now we have kind of a background that has a few tones to it. It's not just a universal tone. It's
multi-tone.
It's multi-tone, and that helps it be a little more energetic. I'm going to rinse this brush out, dry it off, and put it to the side. I'm going to dry everything on my canvas, dry it thoroughly. When we come back, I'll show you what we do next. So now I'm going to sketch in my bird. If you are not wanting to freehand this in with paint, which I totally understand, some other options you could do is you could use a chalk to sketch, or you can use the TRACEABLE, which is free, and again, provided in the description down below. You just click the link and go and download it and transfer it onto your canvas. I recommend using Saral paper as a transfer medium, S-A-R-A-L. The stuff lasts forever, so your initial investment will be an investment that lasts a long time, because you can reuse Saral paper over and over and over and over again, the same sheet. So that's another way you can go. But I'm going to freehand it. I'm going to grab my round brush. This is my number 6 sepia round. And I'm going to come here and sort of sketch freehand in my bird. So some of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to just lightly kind of get scale. That was some weird red that got there.
That was it. It was a sneaky
red. Sneaky red. I'm gonna clean up that sneaky red because I don't want any red there. I'm gonna find it on my hand. That'll happen. Sometimes I get paint on my hand. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to talk about scale. So I'm going to bring a little bit of the belly over here. I'm going to say it kind of comes off down here. So a lot of times I'm just trying to capture scale and the way that something takes up space. Now this bird is fluffed up, so that does change a little bit. And that's why I'm doing this sort of like little jaggedy little edge there. I'll lightly sketch up our little head. I love how like little heads like this can be like kind of low and squared in. I'm using a light amount of paint. I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can see really well.
Gotta get in there and see the little burb parts.
The little burb parts. And I still have like feather fluff room to go up from here. And I can always make things bigger. And just kind of flick this up so I can just make things bigger. Kind of increase the size. There we go. And then I'm going to have a little bit of feathers coming off for the tail. Bring the little beak back a bit. And then I'm going to have a little line that comes up here. This is sort of my little bird marking. I That's where the eye goes in. We can have downward facing little feathers this way. And we'll have some nice kind of overlaying feathers that other way. I might kind of erase this line a little bit just so that it's not as there. I'll just do it with the brush when I go to paint it. I'll get the little tail off with the brush when I go to paint it. Then I want to take a little bit of my black and brown together. Sort of roll it, and I'm going to come right off here, making upward in angles and where I go down and up, trying to make that little twig shape. So the little twig that our little guy is standing on. Goes off a little bit towards the right. Just kind of bringing this little branch a couple other places so it looks sturdy enough to hold our little guy.
It's a bird on a branch.
It's a bird on a branch. And you want the branch to be interesting enough. There we go. Nice little believable branch that we could be perched on. You know, we'll have a little foot that will come here, and another little foot that will come here that will hold us in. So that'll be nice and okay. We'll have a little bit of foot. But I might erase that, I think, just so I can sketch it in later. I just want to know where it's going to go. So if you're using the traceable, you should end up with a series of lines, probably including the tail though, because it will be all finished when I finish it, and I tend to make my traceables for my finished paintings. Now to do anything else, I want my image to be dry. If you use the traceable, you still kind of need to put some like permanent paint lines and everything down so that it holds for you if it's going away on you. I'm going to dry everything and come back. I'll show you what you do next. So I'm going to start laying in the basics of my bird, and I kind of come from the deepest feathers in and then layer up. I'm going to rinse out here for a second, and I'm going to grab a little bit of my phthalo blue and my phthalo green together. And I'll get some burnt sienna into it on this outer corner so it's quite dark. So coming off here, I'm using a number 8 Raphael d'Artagnan round brush. Gonna just brush stroke a little bit of a line. That's the tail. And coming off here. Kind of a dark color, maybe a little more brown in it. Get a little white engaged. It's kind of like a light gray-green. This is the burnt sienna, phthalo green, phthalo blue, a little bit of titanium white for the bottom of the tail. Kind of bring this here. I'm going to just flick this out just a little bit so it's a little fluffy. I can layer this up. And the reason I would layer it up is I have lighter feathers that can come over that. Now I'm going to go into my just pure blue and brush that down over the top of this right here. So these are the first little colors that we're thinking about getting. I might get a little bit of my white on here. And just catch a little bit of light. Just a little bit brushing down there. All right. That's a lot to take in. I might come in, I rinsed my brush off and I'm going to squeeze it. I'm going to come along here and kind of clean that edge. Do you see how I did that? You can always come in and sort of clean an edge.
Yeah.
Nice little pop of blue. All right, let's call that a step. And we're going to just continue on.
Keep on continuing.
Laying in the bird. Laying in the bird. The bird. The bird's actually real fun to lay in. I'm going to grab a little bit of my blue here. And I'm going to lay some dark blue. Maybe even get some ultramarine blue and phthalo blue together. We just want some really blue. It's for little folded feathers that'll be coming down here. Kind of very dark. We'll be coming back with highlights, but this is just the easiest way to get started. A little bit of blue there.
Get it going.
And then I'm going to take some burnt sienna, a little bit of Mars black. I'm going to just brush a little bit of the brown. And I kind of flick my little brush out here so I'm letting some of these be floofy. All right, here we go. Here we go. Just coming down. Just sort of layering that in, that brown on top, the blue on the bottom. Kind of get that out here. Now down here, I'm going to want to take a little bit of my phthalo blue, phthalo green, smidge cad yellow. And we're going to get some white involved. And start capturing some of this like brightly blue feathers. Again, we're going to be coming in with bigger highlights. But we're going to just color this whole belly in this bright blue. It's not too bad. We're just getting the little zones in.
Yeah, not at all.
Bird zones are fun zones. All right,
all the zones.
All the zones. I'm going to take a little bit of my cad red and my quinacridone magenta. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little white into that. And just very carefully brush this through here. And these little birds are so colorful. I so wanted to do this one. I'm flicking this brush stroke around. It's a very flicking brush stroke. I've been wanting to do this since we did the bird hop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely one that I always kind of wanted to do in. All right, now I'm going to want to dry everything so that when I come in and layer the head, that comes in really easily. So let's dry this thoroughly, and when we come back, I'm going to show you what you do next. So now I'm going to take my number 6 Raphael sepia round, and I'm going to get some black paint. I'm going to thin it with a little bit of water, just so that it has better flow. And I think I'll go ahead and put my glasses back on so I can see what I'm doing. Uh-oh. Whenever I put my glasses on, I lose my mic.
That happens. We can fix it.
There we go.
All right.
Something, something. Okay. So I'm going to come here and paint in my beak. I don't want the paint to be watery. It just needs to flow off well enough. And paint in a little beak shape. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of this black back here. I'm going to put the little eye back later. Little bit of black. All right. Once I have that black in, I'm going to come back to my round brush. And I'm going to grab a little bit of my kind of burnt sienna, phthalo blue, a little phthalo green color again, smidge of white onto it. I'm going to come back here and smidge this off a little bit, flicking backwards. Kind of bring that up over the eye some. A little bit up into here. We're going to see just a hint of that green. I'm going to rinse out. And I'm going to grab a little bit of my black and brown again. I'm just going to flick out this way. Flick, 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 flick. I'm just letting the brush make little rough edges. That's how I'm getting the feathers in. So this is just building on what we did with our first little two birds at the beginning. Just kind of bring that around. Maybe a little bit back here. I just want to make sure there's nice joining. I'm going to rinse out for a second. I'm going to get a little bit of my pink color that's here. And brush this back a little bit. And then back into the brown black. Again, this is just the underpainting. Underpainting is just basically the fields of color that you're going to be. Nice big forehead. So these are some deep colors, and then we build all our brighter colors on top of that to get that finished look. So let's dry everything, and when we come back, I'll show you what we do next. All right, so I'm going to want to come in and sort of define some of my branch down here, my little branchy branch. I'm going to put my glasses on. I'm going to take my number 6 round, and I'm going to start to bring in some highlights. I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna, and I'll mix it over here where there's a little Mars black, but not too much Mars black. And then I'm going to come here and start to add little strokes of texture and woodwork around the branch.
Got to get the branch work in.
Got to get that branch looking branchy. Let's highlight. I feel like I got a little thick on the line there with that, but that's okay because I can just remove it if I do. Just a little something. Little lines of brown. Just a little dimensionality on the wood.
I would say it's super dimensional.
It's getting there. And when we get all done, it's going to be super there. So I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow over to my burnt sienna. Mix those two together. Come here and start to make short little rough marks that begin to speak about the branchiness.
The branchiness.
Just giving it some dimensionality. Sometimes I'll roll my brush out or wipe it off on a paper towel so that I can load to just the toe to get a finer line. That's what I'm doing. And we can just be more colorful, you know. Wood's very colorful. I'm going to take a little bit of white over to this. Get a little bit of a light highlight. And add some little highlights along the branch. It's just a little dimensionality that can help it.
I think it creates a lot of dimension.
It does, and it's going to allow our feet to sit on the branch. Because we'll have some contrast that we can work. A little bit there, it's taking form, it's taking shape. Gonna add some little highlight marks down here. See what I'm doing? Like little wiggles. Kind of scribblies. Just a few places to just...
Gotta make the branches pop.
A little more pop, yeah. Little rough strokes. There we go. So when we have that right, what we should have is a branch that feels very branchy, but also three-dimensional, which I really, really like. Now, to do anything else, I do want to dry this so I don't smear my branch or move my branch. When we come back, I'll show you what we do next. So I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see better. Make sure my little microphone is still attached. I'm going to grab a number 0 Raphael Precision brush. I'll go ahead and get some water on it and wipe that out right there. And then I'm going to come down here and paint in a little bit of the claw. Just the claw.
The claw.
Just a little bit of one kind of sitting in there. Paint around the branch. Get nice little claws around the branch. Now I'm going to come up here and grab a little bit of white into my blue-black mixture. Kind of get a bit of a dark gray going. I'm going to come up to my beak. Paint the upper half kind of a dark gray. I'm also going to come back into the eye. Paint a little bead of an eye here with the dark gray. We'll be getting lighter and lighter gray involved, but right now we just want some dark gray. Now right here, come a little bit with some dark gray at the back end. I'm going to rinse this out. And go ahead and get a little bit of my black. Check this for drops. Drop my towel. So that makes it harder to control water. Yeah, I'm going to have to pick that back up wherever it went. So
Yeah.
we're going to pause for a second and locate my towel because I can't actually paint this without it. When we come back, I'll continue on. So that's how important water control is. I stopped everything in our filming so I could catch my towel so I could wipe my brush because too much water was getting into my paint.
Yeah.
And that's that big of a deal. So water control is a huge deal when you're painting. I'm going to bring that down as a little bit of a beak. You can come in and try to grab any of the background color and paint the beak back the other direction. Just getting enough to try to match my background. Oh, I think I have it. I'll come up underneath here. Fix the point of that big, very pointy beak. So there's ways that you paint like the subject matter, and then you can come back in and paint the background. Grab a little bit of white over here. Get a much lighter color. Come along here. Scratch this through here. Just give the beak a little bit of texture. A little bit of texture. I'm going to get a little more white onto my brush. Come into the eye. And highlight a little bit of that gray area around the eye. It just makes it come out of the background. Grab a little bit of white. And a little bit of white underneath here. A little bit of white. Just highlight that beak against that background. Okay, that's fantastic. We're doing super good. I'm going to grab a little more white. Make sure that there isn't too much extra water in my brush. Lightly dry brush a bit of a highlight along between these two zones. Just kind of improving the shape of the beak. That's good. We're doing good. Let's dry everything and I'll show you what we do next when we come back. Now while I'm here and I have all my colors mixed, I'm going to come in with my same number 0 precision and I'm going to come along the foot and add some little hash marks, little rough marks that show the highlights on the foot. Kind of little rough scaling that comes down. Get a nice little bit on the tip there. Just a little bit of highlights to the feet. The feet having some highlights is important. I'm going to come in and thin a little bit of my black paint with some water.
Yep.
Roll out my brush, wipe it off with my towel, the all-important towel. You got to have a paper towel or rag or something when you're painting. And just make sure that this is nice and sharp.
Got to have the little feetsies to grab the branch.
Yeah, has to be believable that they could grab the branch. While those are having a little bit of a dry, I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to actually take my 3/8 inch filbert grainer. So it's a filbert shaped brush that's also got little bits snipped out. So it's going to make kind of neat little lines. It's a great way to do feathers. If you don't have this brush, you can just use a little filbert in that same size range. I'm going to grab a little bit of water, pull out some of my phthalo blue, get a little white into it so that it's a little brighter. I'm going to come here and brush up a few little marks of these feathers. And you can see that just pops them. Grab a little bit of green and white. That's looking pretty nice. And rinse a bit. Make sure that my little feathers are popping, but they're distinctly blue. Rinsey rinse. And take a little bit of my burnt sienna and my cad yellow and maybe a smidge cad red. It's going to kind of go a little orange. See that?
I do.
And I'm going to bring that here. Just brush that right on up. Now I'm going to get a little more yellow involved. Just shorter little marks there. And just layer a few little feathers over that. So that gives our little wings some nice little feathers there. Go back into my burnt sienna. And add a few little brown feathers down low. And a little bit of white. Just highlights here and there. Okay, so let's dry everything and come back. I'll show you what we do next.
All right.
So I'm going to put the fluffy lower bellies down. I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet. I'm going to grab phthalo blue and phthalo green together again. A little bit of cad yellow into that mix. Wipe out the pigment from my brush. You can see I'm sort of squeezing it out. I'll wipe off the brush on my palette, and then I'm going to add a lot more white. And I even want a little more yellow. I want this kind of to be aqua, distinctly aqua.
Yeah.
Going to grab white. We're going to brush a little bit of fluffy, fluffy feathers. Fluffy, fluffy feathers. Just the fluff.
Super fluffy.
Yeah, because he's all fluffed up. Right? Get some more green in there. A little more blue, and as I go in, it's a little darker right there. Okay, rinse out. Rinse out thoroughly. I'm going to get in some clean water. Come over here and take a little of my quinacridone and my cad red. I'm going to make sure that I've got all my blue pigment out because I'm not trying to take it into that dusty at all. Cad red, quinacridone magenta. Maybe a little yellow. Let's grab some of our white. There we go. Little poofter pinks. Poofter pinks. A little bit over here. A little white in it. It gets kind of salmony. Maybe a little more white. A little more yellow. There we go. Some nice little chest poofly pinklies. Super cute. We'll rinse out. Come in and get a little more of my base color. Little pops of pink there on those feathers. Looking pretty good.
I think it looks fantastic.
Now I want to come in and get just a little more magenta on the brush. Maybe a little white. That's definitely more magenta. I'll come back here. Make sure we got a little pink right there. All right, now I'm going to want to dry everything and come back. I will show you what we do next. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to grab a little bit of my phthalo green and a little burnt sienna, and I'll drag it through the cad yellow right here. And a little white. We're just kind of coming through with like a complex little color mix. Come back here. And just some little fluffy feathers. And rinse that out. I like those greens. And rinse it out. Come here and get a little bit of cad yellow and cad red again. Come here and just brush a little bit. That pop of color. Then we'll come over to the burnt sienna. Sometimes I'll get a little more yellow involved. And then I want to grab some white. I'm going to just brush this around. And then just brush this back following the direction of the feathers.
Get those top little feathers in there.
Yeah, we're going to take a little bit of yellow and a little bit of white. Pretty light color. Just a little bit up there. Get a little bit of our, just like come over to my little orange here. Start with this.
Add a little bit of that.
Yeah. We'll get a little brown, I think, in this mix over here. Kind of blend that in. Rinse out. Get a little white involved. Kind of pick up some color. Now I overpainted my beak a little bit, so to fix that, I will come back with my black and my detail round, my precision round, and just put the little beak back. It's not too bad. Can also come back and darken the eye just a smidge.
Make that eye stand out.
Yeah, just make sure that the eye is there and all of that. Let's take a look at him overall. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Okay. Might grab a little bit more of my aqua here. Just make sure that my underbelly is super colorful, like you do. Mix into the pink a bit. I like when there's a little intermixing of color. A little intermixing there. Color. I'm going to get some of my light pink. There you go. He's just colorful everywhere, isn't he? He's just a beautiful bird.
Really is.
Really love it. I'm going to take a little bit of my white over to my pink. Get a little water involved so that it's a little thinner. Come here in the corner. Just do a nice little signature.
It's a very soft signature.
Little soft signature. Wow, that's just really soft. But you can really, it's so crazy because you can really see it here.
Yeah.
I can always pink it up a bit.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
You can paint your signature as thoughtfully as you paint your painting. There we go. A little extra pink on it. All right, when we come back, I'll tell you what we do next. So that was a lot of fun, a happy little bird. Remember, if you don't have the filbert grainer, you can absolutely just switch that out for filbert. And a filbert is any brush with a curved side. If all you had was a D brush, you could use the D brush. So don't feel locked into like it's got to be a certain brush. Kind of pay attention more to the shape. It's a brush with a curve to it. So the brushes in the family that have curves to them are going to do feather strokes. I just happen to have learned to love the filbert grainer for the beautiful little effect that it gives. So that's why I'm a fan of it. But just know you could do it with a different brush. Today, it was a fun little journey. We got to follow up our first birds with a more involved final bird to kind of see where our growth is and everything, which I think is always fun in Acrylic August. Maybe you just came to paint this cutie patootie because you were like, this is just what I want to paint today, but hopefully I have encouraged you to maybe do the other 30 paintings that are in this 31-day painting challenge, because I think they all go together really beautifully. Yeah. And they make a wonderful collection on the wall. That said, I would love to see your version. Hashtag the Art Sherpa, hashtag Acrylic August. Share that with me on any of the social media. If you don't want to share publicly on social media, I have two groups on Facebook, the Art Sherpa Official and Acrylic April, and you can share the tutorial in either one of those two groups. And what you should know is everybody there is really nice. And we curate the groups, which means we monitor them. We don't let anyone be mean. There's no bullying. There's nothing like that going on. So it's a great place to share a painting and get that good positive feedback from other people going through the painting journey just like you are. So with that said, I want you to be good to yourself, be good to each other, and I will see you tomorrow at an easel real soon. Bye-bye.